Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center?
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
So what the social engineers do, and you know this, everybody knows this, they incrementally just take more and more, and they'll deny something when you bring it up. Hey, why do I see giant tanks driving around in checkpoints? Oh, that's not happening. You're like, yeah. So what the social engineers do, and you know this, everybody knows this, they incrementally just take more and more, and they'll deny something when you bring it up. Hey, why do I see giant tanks driving around in checkpoints? Oh, that's not happening. You're like, yeah, I got a video of it. No, it's not. And then later, once the public's conditioned, they admit it. Or there's no death panels in the Obamacare bill. They're like, well, here's the subsection. You're a conspiracy theorist. 1 week after it passed, cover of Newsweek, the case for killing Granny and death panels. And then now I listen to Democrat radio sometimes, and they're just like, death panels are great. We need them. I mean, come on, it's the way to go. Hey, we don't want your guns. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep as they introduce bills at every state level, ban mags over 7 rounds, raiding gun owners' houses all over the country. I mean, I got a stack of that news I haven't gotten to yet. It is bad. While saying, yeah, the crazy conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones, the Southern Poverty Law Center wrote a letter to the Justice Department, which it's a joke. That's their surrogate mouthpiece. So the Justice Department can say more radical things, but then say it's not them. It's Justice Department on record for 30-something years. And they're like, Alex Jones and others, they're claiming that the government wants to take the guns. It's a conspiracy theory. That's a quote. And we think that there's about to be terror attacks. I mean, think of how radical that is to imply that myself, I'm listed, and others are the Constitution Party, Oath Keepers, returning veterans, I'm reading here, are going to blow up federal buildings. You're like, well, McVeigh did. Folks, anybody that knows about that, I've interviewed the police that were the first responders, the ones they didn't kill, like Terrence Yakey, Cop of the Year. They blew that thing sky high. They declared national security on the surveillance tapes. I talked to the FBI agents that in the LA Times who said, we saw the tapes. It shows multiple men with McVeigh. And I've talked to the head of HUD, Jane Graham, who was there. It was famous federal agents who she saw on TV basically responding to the aftermath. She's like, that's who was running the wires and planting the gray sticks of butter. I've interviewed the police, like Mr. Browning and others, on this show, who saw the feds involved and who had them come to their offices in the Oklahoma City office, into the sergeant's office and said, you and your wife are dead if you don't shut up about what you saw. Oh, yeah, the right wing's going to blow up federal buildings. Give me a break, folks. Let me tell you who's going to blow up federal buildings. The global crime syndicate that sees this country and controls our government. Our government didn't bomb Oklahoma City. Our government didn't carry out 9/11. Our government has been hijacked, and there are criminal cells, global corporate mafia cells within the CIA, the FBI, and everything else staging this stuff or hiring provocateurs. So my point is, you're not going to get freedom by cowering over this. You're not going to get freedom by cowering to this, okay? The only future we've got is standing up. You know why we have so much wealth? Why 4% of the world, that's the American population, until the 70s had half the wealth. At one point, it was 57%. Look this up. Just type in U.S. has half the world's wealth. You'll see the articles. 57% of the world's wealth owned by a gigantic fat middle class, the fattest, biggest middle class the world's ever seen. Champion middle class. Fully 45%, up to 50% of the population, middle class, upper middle class. Now it's down to like 25%. And you know why? We weren't free, but compared to other countries, we were super free. Super flat free. Because there wasn't a monopoly in this country. There were a few oligopolies and a few little monopolies, but not a total globalist monopoly. Where big corporations control government, they then take your tax money and pay it to them in corporate contracts and government contracts and bailouts. You don't have freedom, just like Rand Paul stood up and said, I'm going to filibuster until you give me the drone info. They gave it to him. They told me, my crew, we can't hand out magazines in Austin. Turned out by the time I showed up to get in their face, the cops had refused. That's a big victory just to do the right thing. It was like when I was at Bilderberg, they gave them orders to not let the demonstrators up in Virginia last year walk across the public driveway that is a public right-of-way. And the cops were told, arrest us. And I said, hey, you know the Virginia law says we can walk across there. He goes, I know, but I've been ordered a special event. I said, you want your kids growing up in the country like that? He goes, well, they're watching us. My commanders are off those cameras right across the street in that mobile unit. They have a mobile trailer with cameras on it and microphones. And I said, oh, so now you're afraid to do the right thing. I said to the commander out there with like 60 cops out there on the SWAT team. And he goes, no, you're right. Okay, use the street. And then all the cops were smiling and giving us high fives and stuff. Just revolt and say no. No to North Korea. You're not a bunch of Dennis Rodmans. I haven't even talked about that yet. I was out of town. You know, going over there to a third-generation hereditary dictator, over 1 million people starved to death or killed a year. You talk about total government, and he goes over there to make money. And it shows how pathetic the government ruling system is, that it's so empty, that it's such a husk, that the pathetic Kim Jong-un hugging some nobody, burnout, Z celebrity, bankrupt Dennis Rodman. I mean, this cult of celebrity is going to do something special for you. Let me just tell all the yuppies, I know that's how they control you, who grew up watching television 18 hours a day, and you think you're not somebody until you know celebrities. I have been at probably 50 top Hollywood parties, and I couldn't wait to get out of them. Just all of the most famous people in them. I have been then at events, let's go over to this person's house, and I'm like, I don't want to go. Let's watch a movie. You know, let's go play, putt golf or something, because it's so empty. And I see how Madison Avenue and Wall Street and the corporate people and the Oscars and all of it controls the public with the cult of empty celebrity. You know who I want to meet? People that jump from the edge of space and heat up like a meteorite coming into the atmosphere, or some mathematician or some firefighter that goes into a burning house and saves a kid and gets half their body burnt. That's who's interesting to me, is artists and people. There's a lot of people that I get giddy about meeting. Incredible journalists, trailblazers. But the system knows that. And Edward Bernays set this up in the 20s, the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He admitted our heroes are inventors, scientists, trailblazers, explorers. That's why we were the highest IQ, highest education, smartest, most inventive, because people were into that. And they said, we've got to stop making that the icons. We got to dumb people down. So now it's all these stupid hip-hop people and burnout drug-head rock and roll and Hollywood and all of that. And it's totally and completely empty.